The Texas Department of Transportation Houston District would like to welcome you to this virtual meeting with two in-person open house options. This presentation will provide information on the I-610 South feasibility study from FM 521, also known as Almeda Road, to Telephone Road. This feasibility study is the beginning of a thoughtful process that will help TxDOT determine the best way to address the needs for this section of I-610 South. This is a pre-recorded presentation. My name is Patrick Trahan, and I'm part of the study team. I would like to thank you for participating in this public meeting. During the virtual presentation, you may pause the video and navigate forward or backward using your video player. If you have any technical difficulties accessing the public meeting information, need special accommodations, or speak a language other than English or Spanish and have interpretation needs, please contact Gabriel Adame at 713-802-5199. Details on how to submit comments will be provided further in this presentation. This virtual public meeting is being held in conjunction with two in-person open house options. The first open house will be held on Tuesday, February 20th, 2024, from 5 to 7 p.m. at Worthing High School, located at 9215 Scott Street, Houston, Texas, 77051. The second open house will be held on Thursday, February 22nd, 2024, from 5 to 7 p.m. at the Houston Texans YMCA, located at 5202 Griggs Road, Houston, Texas, 77021. The information presented in the virtual public meeting and both in-person open house locations is identical, and the opportunities to comment do not differ. The purpose of this second public meeting is to provide an opportunity for the community to review and provide feedback on the needs and the conceptual alternatives developed for this section of I-610 South. This meeting also offers an opportunity for the study team to address any questions or concerns from the public. TxDOT commits to purposefully involving the public in planning and project implementation by providing for early, continuous, transparent, and effective access to information and decision-making processes. At this meeting, TxDOT would like you to join the process for your participation in this meeting, learn about the needs for the roadway, understand the conceptual alternatives developed for the roadway, comment by providing input on the information provided at this meeting, and engaging by providing feedback on the conceptual alternatives. Throughout this presentation, individual puzzle pieces will appear in the upper right-hand corner of each slide. The color of the puzzle piece indicates which of the 5 topics, join, learn, understand, comment, or engage, is being discussed. At the top of this slide, you can see by the join puzzle piece that we are now in the join section of the presentation. Any proposed projects resulting from this feasibility study are anticipated to receive federal funds. And because of the federal component, TxDOT is required to assess the potential environmental effects of the proposed project in accordance with the federal standards. The process that is followed is called the National Environmental Policy Act, otherwise known as NEPA. The NEPA process provides analysis of the potential impacts to the natural and man-made environment and helps the decision maker to make an informed decision on whether or not to proceed with a proposed project. On December 9, 2019, TxDOT received a signed Memorandum of Understanding from the Federal Highway Administration that permits TxDOT to assume responsibility from the Federal Highway Administration for reviewing and approving certain assigned NEPA projects. The review and approval process applies to any proposed projects that result from this study. To begin, we will first outline the notification process leading up to this public meeting. Then we will provide an overview of the study area and study background. Next, we will discuss needs and goals for any improvements identified by this study. This will be followed by presenting the conceptual alternatives developed to address the needs and goals for the study area. We will then review the environmental analysis process and the next steps for the study. This will be followed by information on how to engage and participate in a survey. Finally, we will cover the process for providing comments and feedback via written or electronic comment forms. So let's get started with reviewing the notification process. In preparation for this meeting, these are the various means of outreach and notification used by the study team to get the word out regarding these February meetings. Notices in both English and Spanish were posted on the TxDOT webpage on January 24th, 2024. Elected officials were notified of this public meeting by mail and email on January 19th, 2024. Notices and study flyers in both English and Spanish were then mailed to adjacent property owners on February 5th, 2024. Approximately 52,000 postcards were mailed out using Every Door Direct on February 5th, 2024 to mailboxes in the study area. Informative flyers were hand-delivered to local community facilities, gathering places, and apartment complexes in the study area on February 7th, 2024. Notices were also published in the Defender, Forward Times, and La Prensa de Houston on February 1st, January 31st, and February 4th, 2024 in English and Spanish respectively. Links to the meeting notices were posted on the TxDOT Facebook page and TxDOT Houston District X page, formerly known as Twitter. In addition, TxDOT advertised the meeting on roadside variable signs in key locations throughout the study area from February 6, 2024 to February 22, 2024. We are now moving to the Learn section of the presentation, where we will discuss study details and background. The map you see on the slide depicts the feasibility study limits. The study limits on I-610 South are approximately 6 miles long, starting at FM 521, also known as Almeda Road, and ending at Telephone Road in Harris County, Texas. This information can also be found in the meeting handout for quick reference. Next, we will discuss important outcomes from previous public engagement events. To ensure robust engagement, we conducted the first stakeholder workshop and public meetings in May and June 2023, respectively. Stakeholder Workshop number 1 took place on May 22, 2023, to engage with city, county, education, and community representatives. Public meeting number 1 was held on June 13th and June 15th in 2 different locations in the study area. The study team shared information about the study, the project development process, and the existing conditions of the roadway. Attendees were given the opportunity to engage with the study team members, participate in a survey, and provide written comments on the study. All meeting materials presented were the same for each meeting. After these meetings, the study team analyzed the results of the survey and comments received from the public and stakeholders. Let's review some of the themes that emerged from these important public engagement events. Here you see 6 common themes that emerged from the public and stakeholder feedback. These include, in no particular order, minimize right-of-way, connect frontage roads, intersection improvements, including U-turns and turn lanes, drainage improvements, bike pedestrian connectivity, and ramp improvements. These common themes were used in the development of the needs and goals for this section of I-610 South. This slide shows the 4 needs that were identified based on analysis of the existing conditions and feedback from previous public engagement events. These needs are infrastructure deficiencies, safety issues, increased congestion, and limited multimodal connectivity. Let's start with the infrastructure deficiency need. Supporting facts for this need are aging infrastructure. The existing roadway was constructed in the 60s and 70s. 10 bridges do not meet vertical clearance requirements. 1 bridge was rated as poor in 2020. And need for ramp improvements. Some entrance and exit ramps have very steep entrances and exits and are not long enough for traffic to safely merge. The next need identified was safety. Supporting facts for this need are the crash rate in some areas is almost double the statewide average, and between 2018 and 2022, 98 crashes were severe or fatal, and 21 crashes involved bicyclists or pedestrians. Increased congestion was the third need identified for this area, and supporting facts for it are Traffic volumes are expected to increase by 51% between 2022 and 2050, and the roadway is predicted to be heavily congested by 2050 due to regional population growth in the Houston metro area. The fourth and final need identified by the study team was limited multimodal connectivity. Supporting facts for this need include the frontage roads are discontinuous in some areas, pedestrian facilities are insufficient, and there is lack of bicycle facilities. Now we're going to talk about goals that were identified for this study. Generally, goals are objectives or intentions that describe the desired outcomes for the transportation system and community. These goals are typically based on the priorities and needs of the area. The study team identified 3 goals following public and stakeholder engagement and existing conditions analysis. The goals include minimize right-of-way footprint, minimize environmental and community impacts, and lastly, ensure compatibility with adjacent projects and studies, such as the planned extension of Metro's Purple Line and the planned State Highway 35 interchange. Based on the identified needs and goals, the study team developed conceptual alternatives for this section of I-610 South. Alternatives are design options that are ultimately narrowed down to a preferred alternative through a screening process. The alternative screening process evaluates the potential for each alternative to meet the study goals and the needs of the roadway. As the number of alternatives is narrowed down, the level of detail in the screening process increases. Conceptual alternatives are high-level concepts developed based on data analysis and public feedback. This is where the study is now in the alternative screening process. Next, the conceptual alternatives will be narrowed down to viable alternatives based on how well they meet the needs and goals and input from this public meeting. The viable alternatives will be developed into roadway layouts and then further screened to identify a recommended alternative. The recommended alternative is refined into the preferred alternative, which then advances to the next phase of project development. Continuous public and stakeholder engagement is an important part of the alternative screening process. Next, we will show you what the existing roadway looks like today and then the conceptual alternatives that the team developed. This slide has an illustration of what we call the existing typical section of the general purpose lanes and frontage roads for this section of I-610 South. A typical section is a cross-section of the road showing how it looks today. Within the study limits of I-610 between FM 521 Almeda Road and Telephone Road, the current roadway has 4 12-foot general purpose lanes in each direction with 10-foot wide shoulders. The frontage roads have 2 to 3 11-foot wide lanes and are discontinuous in some areas. The existing right-of-way is typically 350 feet. The next slides show the conceptual alternatives developed by the study team for this section of I-610 South. The first conceptual alternative is Alternative 0, and it's referred to as the no-build alternative, which means do nothing. The no-build alternative serves as a baseline for all the other alternatives. This portion of I-610 South would not change and would be the same as it is today. As you can see, the no-build alternative would not reconstruct the general purpose lanes or frontage roads to meet current standards, would not provide shared use paths for bicyclists and pedestrians, would maintain the same number of general purpose lanes, 4 in each direction, and would not require additional right-of-way. The next alternative is Conceptual Alternative 1, Operational Improvements. These improvements would reconstruct the general purpose lanes and frontage roads to meet current standards, provide shared use paths for bicyclists and pedestrians, maintain the same number of general purpose lanes, 4 in each direction, fix localized problem areas at ramps and intersections and along the frontage roads, and would require approximately 20 to 45 feet of additional right-of-way in some areas. Keep in mind that any alternative recommended at the conclusion of this feasibility study may become future projects and would be subject to modification during the project development process. At that time, specific right-of-way needs would be identified and presented at future public meetings. Alternative 2, convert one general purpose lane to a managed lane, shown here, would reconstruct the main lanes and frontage roads to meet current standards, provide shared use paths for bicyclists and pedestrians, reduce the number of general purpose lanes by one in each direction, add one managed lane in each direction at the same level as the general purpose lanes, and would typically require approximately 25 feet of additional right-of-way and 45 feet in some areas. Managed lanes are a set of lanes within the freeway that are separated from the general purpose lanes. They help improve safety, reduce congestion, and provide options for multimodal opportunities and connectivity. The use of managed lanes is determined by factors like the type of vehicles, what time of day it is, and access points. Alternative 2 would also include the same operational improvements as described in Alternative 1. Here is Alternative 3. Add 2 managed lanes in each direction, which would reconstruct the general purpose lanes and frontage roads to meet current standards, provide shared use path for bicyclists and pedestrians, add 2 elevated managed lanes in each direction, and would typically require approximately 15 feet of additional right-of-way and up to 45 feet in some areas. For this alternative, the elevated structure could be placed in the middle of the highway or between the general purpose lanes and the frontage roads. Alternative 3 would also include the same operational improvements as described in Alternative 1. The last alternative, Alternative 4, add 1 new general purpose lane in each direction, would reconstruct the general purpose lanes and frontage roads to meet current standards, provide shared use paths for bicyclists and pedestrians, add 1 general purpose lane in each direction, and would typically require approximately 25 feet of additional right-of-way and up to 45 feet in some areas. Alternative 4 would also include the same operational improvements as described in Alternative 1. Next, we will explain the evaluation of the no-build and the 4 build conceptual alternatives that we just reviewed. The study team screened each alternative to determine how well it addressed the needs and goals identified for this section of I-610 South. As shown on the slide, the conceptual alternatives were rated based on how well they performed against the established needs and goals. We also analyzed possible construction costs for each alternative. The rating scale used was does not meet or minimally meets needs and goals, indicated by the color red, somewhat meets needs and goals, indicated by the color yellow, and best meets needs and goals, indicated by the color green. Overall, Alternative 3, add 2 elevated managed lanes, rated the highest, and Alternative 0, no build, rated the lowest in meeting the needs and goals. The public and stakeholder input category will be completed and factored into the overall alternatives evaluation matrix once public and stakeholder input is received from public meeting number 2. This will assist the study team in identifying the viable alternatives. During the viable alternatives evaluation, the study team will perform a more detailed analysis of needs and goals, including the goal to minimize environmental and community impacts. TxDOT is committed to identifying and evaluating potential environmental impacts that could occur as a result of any projects resulting from this feasibility study. During the project development process, potential environmental impacts will be considered as alternatives are developed. Once a project is proposed, an analysis of the existing environment and potential impacts will be conducted. Areas that would be analyzed and documented include biological resources, community impacts, environmental justice, water resources, hazardous materials, archaeological resources, historic resources, and traffic noise. Proposed projects resulting from this study would be designed to avoid or minimize environmental impacts to the greatest amount practicable. Once the environmental analysis is completed, technical reports documenting the analysis and conclusion of these studies will be summarized in an environmental document that will be made available. Now that we have reviewed the alternatives, the screening process, and the environmental analysis process, let's highlight the estimated timeline for the completion of the feasibility study and subsequent project development. Look for the green "We Are Here" arrow at the top of your screen to see our progress in this study. After the comment period closes for the public meeting number 2 on March 8, 2024, the study team will review and consider comments received as part of the alternatives screening process. Documentation of the public meeting will be posted to the meeting webpage when completed. The next steps include further screening of the alternatives, environmental analysis and documentation preparation, and schematic development. Stakeholder and public engagement, including more public meetings like this one, will continue throughout the study and project development process. As this presentation wraps up, TxDOT encourages you to review the materials regarding the feasibility study and provide your feedback. Feedback may be submitted in any language in a couple of ways. 1, feel free to fill out a comment card and let us know your thoughts on the needs and goals and the conceptual alternatives. Secondly, the study team has prepared a survey that will ask you questions regarding the conceptual alternatives and provides opportunities for you to indicate your preferred alternative. You can download the comment card from the project webpage at www.txdot.gov/projects/hearings-meetings and email to hou-piowebmail@txdot.gov. Comment cards may be dropped in the comment box at the open house or mailed to the study team via the address provided on the comment card and on this slide. Comments must be received or postmarked by Friday, March 8, 2024, to be included in the public meeting documentation. Responses to verbal and written comments received during the comment period will be included in the public meeting documentation that will be posted on the project webpage when complete. As just mentioned, the study team put together an online survey that gives you an opportunity to provide interactive input on the conceptual alternatives for I-610 South between FM 521 Almeda Road and Telephone Road. Your input will help to guide the next phase of the alternatives development process. To participate in this survey, go to www.txdot.gov/projects/hearings-meetings or scan the QR code on the slide or QR code found in the meeting handout. The online survey will be available throughout the comment period, so be sure to take the survey by Friday, March 8, 2024. The results of the online survey and a summary of the written comments will be included in the documentation of public meeting, which will be posted on the study website within the next few months. Please don't hesitate to contact us with any questions, and feel free to contact Gabriel Adame at TxDOT Houston District Office by phone at 713-802-5199 or email at gabriel.adame@txdot.gov with any questions or comments at any time during the study and project development process. And don't forget to click on these links and follow us on X, formerly Twitter, for ongoing road closures and construction updates. You may also keep up with TxDOT news on our Facebook page or follow us on our Instagram page. November 7th, 2000 was the last deathless day on roadways in Texas. That means for over 23 years, at least one person has died every single day. We all have a part to play to change that. This message is that reminder to end the streak of deaths on Texas highways. We need drivers and passengers to act more responsibly and help us reach our goal of 0 deaths by 2050. Texans can play a major role in ending fatal crashes with a few simple driving habits. Wear seatbelts, drive the speed limit, put away the phone and other distractions, and never drive under the influence of alcohol or drugs. So please, do your part and share this message with your friends and family. Please remember to submit your comments no later than Friday, March 8, 2024, to be included in the official public meeting documentation. Thank you for participating in this public meeting.